Right, let's try a different material for our wall. How about some stones? I'm gonna look for a nice stone texture. Okay, just stone. Okay, let's pick something like this one here. Or maybe this one. Let's try this one. I'm going to download the large image. Okay, I'm going to save it. Okay, first I'm going to increase the size. There are some very obvious styling elements here, which I want to get rid of. Merge down. Right. Now I'm going to use the lasso tool to select an area, for example, like this one here. Copy, paste. I'm going to cover this one, this little stone with these patches over here. Maybe rotate it like this. Now erase the borders. So everything blends together nicely. Right. So that one's covered. And Shift, Control, Alt, move over here to make a copy. Okay. And let's merge everything together. Right. So now I'm going to create a displacement map. Just duplicate the layer. And reduce the saturation like this. We want to invert the image to bring the seams out. With Curves tool, I'm going to increase the contrast a bit. Bring up the lightness. Okay, duplicate the layer, blur it a bit. And set the opacity to 50. This should make it a bit smoother. Okay, let's save it. Takes a while to save, so the image might be a bit too large. Maybe let's reduce the size to 3,500 pixels. Okay. I'm gonna resave it. And now hide the layer and save the original image as the diffuse texture. Alright, let's create the reflection map as well. Desaturate this diffuse texture. And lower the opacity of the upper layer like this, so everything is a bit grayish and similar in value. Copy merged, and maybe increase the contrast with levels a bit, like that. Right, and let's save it. Okay, let's try it on the wall. Let's create a new Vray material. Set up the diffuse map first. And increase the tiling a bit. Maybe 5 by 5. I think it looks fine. Maybe slightly larger, 7 by 7. I'm gonna go closer to the wall so we can see better what's going on here. Alright, so I'm gonna reduce the blurring straight away, 0.5. Okay, and set up my reflect map as well. I'm just gonna copy the diffuse map in the reflect slot and change the texture. Here it is. Let's reduce the glossiness to 0.35, enable Fresnel, and set it to 3. Looks okay. And let's paste in the bump slot. Change to this one. Maybe higher value here, maybe 60. And paste in displacement slot as well. Let's try something like 2. Alright. And let's render. Okay, so the displacement is much too strong. Let's try a lower value, maybe 0.5. Okay, so this looks much more realistic. You can see the seams going out and the rough surface of the stone itself. Looks very nice. Okay, so that's a stone material with the seams going out. Maybe let's try to create another one. Okay, back to CG textures. I'm going to create something like round stones going out of the wall. Okay, let's try to make something from this one here. Okay, so that's our first stone material. Looks very nice close up. Okay, let's create another one. So I've found this image here. I'm going to download the large resolution. Right. So let's straighten it out a bit. I'm going to use the distort for this. Okay, like that. I think this is fine. Now we need to make this part tileable. Let's make it tileable only horizontally. Okay, so here's the seam. Let's copy a patch from here, paste, and move over the seam. Now zoom in and delete like this. Try to follow the shape of the rocks and get a nice realistic blending here. Okay, so that's one side, and now the other one. Right, so now the image should tile nicely horizontally. Let's merge it down. Right. And let's save it as our diffuse map. Okay, let's try it on the wall. New Vray material. Let's name it stone old. Okay. And let's try it in the diffuse slot. Okay, so increase the tiling. Something like this, and horizontally as well. Right. So I think the tiling looks okay. Let's try and create a displacement map from this one here. Duplicate the layer. Okay, duplicate again. I'm gonna first desaturate them. And I want to make this upper part a bit lighter. Use the curves tool, make it lighter. Okay, make a mask for this upper layer here. First, let's invert it. And now with the soft, large brush, paint with white color the areas you want to see through. Like this. Right, let's make it a bit lighter. Okay, that's fine. Let's merge these together. And let's try to make a displacement map. Okay, so I'm going to duplicate the layer and use the curves tool to bring in some contrast here. Okay, so that's a good start. I'm gonna unhide this lower layer and select the color range tool. This color here. Okay. So as you can see, this doesn't help us too much since the color is pretty similar on the low spots and the high spots as well. I'm going to try a different approach. Let's try the high pass filter here. and gives some nice localized contrast to the image. Okay, and let's try this map. So I'm going to copy my diffuse map and paste in the displacement slot. Change the texture. And reduce the blurring. Let's try it out with displacement set at 2. Okay, maybe 4. Since the image is low contrast, maybe a higher value is needed. Okay, so the displacement is too strong. I could already see that in the light cache calculations. It's much too messy. Let's try to set it lower, 1.5. Maybe let's adjust the texture a bit. I'm gonna try the median filter on here. Okay. Select all, copy, undo, undo, and paste. Okay, I'm gonna set this layer's opacity to 50. I'm gonna merge it down, and I'm gonna reduce the opacity of this layer as well, like this, 75 or something like this. Okay, zoom in. And resave the image. This should give us a bit smoother result than before. Let's try again. It's a bit better, but still I think the displacement is a bit too strong. Let's try and set it at 0.6. Okay, so that's pretty decent. Maybe we can even try a bit higher value. 0.75. I'm gonna step back a bit and re-render the whole image. Okay, like this. So while it's rendering, we're going to prepare the reflection map. I'm going to simply use this desaturated version here, reduce the contrast a bit. So you can reduce the contrast by first bringing the lightness down and then bringing it up, back up, like this. Let's save it, stone old reflect. Alright. Maybe we can even reduce the blurring a bit more. Let's try 0.2 here. 0.3 in the diffuse slot. Right, so I'm gonna copy the displacement map to the bump slot, set it at 60, and paste it in the reflect slot as well. Here I'm gonna change my texture to the reflect map I just prepared. So here it is. Let's bring down the glossiness. Let's try 0.35 and enable Fresnel. Maybe 3 or something like this. Right, so that's fine. Let's try and render it. One last step, let's add some dirt to the lower part of the wall by using Vray dirt in the diffuse slot. So change the diffuse from bitmap to Vray dirt, keep the old map as submap, move it to the unoccluded color slot, and use the dirt map as the radius. Okay, let's see how it looks. Increase the tiling, like this, and increase the radius to, let's say, 60 centimeters. I'm gonna use dark brown, dark green brown color for the occluded color, something like this. Right, and re-render. Okay, so I think that's a pretty nice old stone wall we have here. For more realism, you might want to model the upper part of this wall for some uneven appearance. Bring some parts higher, some lower. But since we're working with materials here, I am gonna call it finished for now.